I believe deeply that the world currently needs good people in it, and particularly good men, because the whole concept of what it means to be a man is now completely blown up. And that's a great thing, but if we think for 1 second that's easy for our boys to understand that, that's not the case. My feeling is that some parents or some people think, well, the second you start talking about that, you compromise on the academics. And there's so much pressure on the academics because they've got to get to the college, and they've got to get to the college to get to the good job, right? Very few schools bring those two worlds together neatly or in a way that people can understand. And our 450-year-old tradition gives us a language, a permission, and an imperative to do that. So as a Jesuit school, what we value above all is relationship, right? And we also value context and story. So the starting point of a Jesuit formation, our particular pedagogy is context, knowing our boys' stories, and in fact knowing each other's stories. And so in a big school where that's what we value, we've got to find ways to make it smaller so the boys are well known and that relationships are front and center. Front and center in a way that practically it happens, but they also feel that. Like they feel that their learning and their formation comes from relationship. That's the starting point of it. And we can say that as much as we like, but if the boys don't feel it, they're not going to give witness to it, and they're not going to be men who do that. And so the whole concept of a house is creating smaller communities within the communities where the boys are known deeply. Now we know that happens in the classroom because of the way our teachers teach. But this is another layer of it, where they are known in their totality, where they can go to a place where their story is deeply understood and appreciated, where there are adults in the building whose sole responsibility is to know that story inside out. And the house system is a really powerful way of doing that in terms of creating that community within a community. It creates opportunities for our boys to lead. The vertical integration of it is key to it. So as our boys go through it, opting out of leadership isn't possible. And because ours is a leadership which is unique in a way, it's one that's couched in justice, service, and it's not always the loudest voice. It has to come from a lived reality of relationship. If you don't create opportunities for those relationships to happen, then leadership will be perceived a certain way. And when you have smaller communities where the boys can grow through it and are understood and valued and then identified as leaders because of who they are, not what they do, then suddenly there's a reconceptualization of leadership in terms of how our men understand it. And so the hope is that they then spend the rest of their lives leading that way. And it's not because they've read a book or because we've said it to them. That's part of it. It's because they've felt it, understood it, known it, and it becomes the very part of their being. The house system is designed to give them those supports and space where they can figure that out for themselves in a way where they're frankly loved deeply, you know, and that's the way it should be, because we want them to love deeply, you know.